right, Thrivers, we are back. We are just finishing up our listening session here. I mean, this is how you should handle like the in-between times. This is how you do it. This is right.
It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's a kind of a cold end there, but we're jumping right into this here, guys. We're talking about what are the pros of building your own store with custom software or a plugin like WooCommerce. So we already talked about the existing marketplaces.
Yes.
Now we're talking about your own marketplace, essentially, right?
Yes.
So what are the pros of your own marketplace?
I tell you, this one's for the bold and the brave.
Okay.
Okay. So get the wallet out. Let's talk.
Okay.
Okay. So custom. Well, Thrive 15, for example, that's a custom piece of software.
Sure.
We hired developers. You realize it was a little expensive.
Really?
And it keeps going.
What?
But that's just the way this is.
We keep paying these people?
I know.
Wow.
We could not have done Thrive. We could not have built it on any other kind of platform.
Sure.
It needed to be custom. So there was a really specific business reason why we built it the way we did. Mm-hmm. Facebook, Amazon, the big ones are definitely
their own custom websites. Right. They all function specifically how that website needs to function.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So custom just simply means that I can't take off-the-shelf, out-of-the-box type software and install it, make some changes, upload some images, and be done.
Sure.
Custom is you have a really particular need that's not suited for these other tools that we're talking about.
Okay.
And so let's talk about pros. One of the big ones is you have, like I'm saying, total control over every aspect of it.
Yeah.
So for some people, you have to have that kind of control.
If you've got a developer that can pull it off, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Okay.
There was no software available for something like Uber.
Right.
For example.
Right.
Or eBay. These are products that were, revolutionary type products. They had to build
some people with money.
Right.
They got either by venture capital financing or whatever.
Yep.
They had money. They found really smart developers, and they said, let's make this thing that doesn't exist yet.
Yes.
Okay.
And so if you're that, you really need to move on to the capital episode.
Okay. And then come back.
And then come back to this.
Watch all the capital stuff first.
Yes.
And then come back. Okay.
That's a skill you need is VC. You need to really look into that. So for a custom situation, you can hire a developer, you can contract third-party developers. There's a number of ways to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's the big bucks. That's really gonna cost you a lot to get that done.
I thought we were talking about the pros here, though.
We are. I'm sorry.
I thought we were talking about the pros.
Come back.
I haven't heard the pros.
So
okay.
So let's move on to the idea of the customer relationship. We talked about that last time.
Okay. Yeah.
So a major pro with custom is you own that relationship with your customer. Mm-hmm. Now, what that means is you know exactly who they are. You have their email, phone number, whatever contact information you have, and you can reach out to them. And you can begin to build that relationship. You're looking for cross-sell, upsell. You're looking for repeat buy. So I'll try to demystify that. So when you bought something on some store, you're familiar with the drip email concept?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe days or weeks later, you get an email that says, hey, you might be interested in...
Hey, by the way,
whatever.
We have got 20% off our brand new pants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Homemade
Etsy pants.
Sort of pants.
Yeah.
Sounds sketchy. But if you're into homemade pants, I'm sorry. So that's something that you can take control of is that repeat buy.
Okay.
Right.
Because I own the customer's information at that point.
Yes, exactly. So that's a major benefit over something like Amazon.
Can you also use that to figure out even better, like, okay, I thought my customers were these people, but it turns out my customers are really these people.
Yes.
And these people like to buy these things.
Yes.
And so you can really like target what you're producing, the message you're selling.
Exactly.
Because now you have a better idea of like who's actually buying my stuff.
Right. And I promise you, whatever you think it is in the beginning is not going to be true in some way.
Sure.
So that's why we're going to continue to say that it's super important to get out there soon. And as Clay, you'll hear Clay say, fail forward. What that means is just you don't know what you don't know. You need to get out there and start the process and learn your customers, learn what they will buy, how much they will spend for it, and then what's it going to take for them to repeat buy, whatever that is, an upsell, across that, whatever it is, a discount. You got to learn that behavior, and when you start to see it succeed once and then again, maybe you're onto a pattern and you can scale that. So owning that customer relationship is super important. Custom allows you to do that.
Because with literally millions of options of what you could spend your money on, if you get somebody to say, yeah, I want that thing from your store, and they buy from you, that's insanely valuable to like try to keep those set of eyeballs, right? Like you're trying to keep that person, like keep coming back to my store.
Right, exactly. You're building that relationship. They have confidence in you. They put their trust in you, you know. And so if you deliver, they're more likely to buy another product. But yeah, that relationship is huge.
Okay, so I heard you have total control.
Yep.
Sounds awesome. You have customer relationship info, which is going to help you not only know what to produce, but the kind of message you're putting out to those things, right? You're going to have a better idea of who your customer is.
Yep.
That's also awesome. Yep. And you have total control over cross-selling, upselling, promotions.
Right.
You can get that customer, if you're good at it, not me if you're terrible at it, then this doesn't help you, but if you're good at it, you can get that customer to keep coming back and buying more and more, right?
Yes, exactly. That lifetime value of that customer is critical.
Okay. So that's custom software.
That's custom, and I'm gonna throw in here we mentioned in passing the WooCommerce.
Yeah.
So let me explain that a little bit. Custom is on the expensive side. You know, we're talking tens or hundreds of thousands even.
Yep.
So WooCommerce is a WordPress plugin, and WooCommerce is actually free.
Okay.
So I can download it right here. I mean, we're looking at WooCommerce right here. So I can actually download it and install it and run it for free. What costs money is hiring a developer to go in and customize it and make it look the way you want.
Okay.
And there's extensions you can add to it that do different things. So, for example, I'm going to...
If you're following along on the big board here.
Exactly. So this is their extensions market. And so you can see all these different categories, accounting, all the way down to widgets. There's all kinds of... So you can see right here, I'm looking at bookings, for example, is kind of an Airbnb. So I could make a custom site out of WooCommerce using bookings that acts like Airbnb.
So this does like 80% of the work for you.
You very much so.
Yeah.
And so, you know, don't be confused that that's only $249. That is super cheap to do a lot of functionality.
Sure.
Where it costs you money, where it becomes custom, is it has to look like you, your brand. You know, you want it to work the way you want it to work. And so by the time you've added these extensions together and, you know, paid for all that and then paid a developer, you're still into the thousands or tens of thousands of dollars.
But probably not tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, which it might take you to develop your own software and your own checkout and your own...
Yeah, exactly. You're basically licensing development effort that's already taken place in WooCommerce. It's a great package, but often people think, oh, it's going to be $250.
And that doesn't get you all the way there.
And then they get into it and they realize, I can't do this myself. I need to hire somebody. That's where it gets expensive.
But it's still better than cost-wise.
Right.
It's still better than starting from scratch.
Yeah. Basically, the question is, at the end of the day, what are you willing to pay to have that customer relationship and to own that relationship, like we said? Because that you know, if you can pay a few thousand, but that means a lot, you know, long term, that relationship means more to you, then maybe that's the way you go.
Okay, so those are the pros. Those were the pros. Now we're going to talk about the cons.
Yeah,
the cons. You couldn't even help yourself but get into some cons while we were talking about the pros. That's how big of a con there is potentially in here. But let's talk about the cons here of building your own custom software.
Right. So, you know, I consult. I have a web business and I consult, and I see all the time where people don't account for the cost, and they get into something like we say, and they, oh, it's $249 for that extension or whatever, and then the next thing you know, you're spending thousands, right? You didn't account for the cost. You didn't know exactly how to set this up. So the biggest thing I would caution people is just, if you're not able to do this, if this is over your head, you need to bring in people that are experts at this.
Okay.
And you need to bring in the right experts. They need to have done this work before.
Okay.
Because if you bring in the wrong person at the right price, you're going to pay more than you want to in the end. You need to bring in the right person who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of in this WordPress WooCommerce space.
Okay.
If you're going full custom, those risks get even greater because the cost is so much greater.
Potentially bigger reward.
Yes.
Potentially.
Right.
Right? Like Uber couldn't have just made a WordPress website and it worked.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
So if you're saying like, I'm going to hit a freaking home run here, then maybe if you've got the cash or you can get the cash, this is a good idea. But the risk is up there too.
Exactly. And I'm gonna repeat what we've said here, that the idea of getting out there quickly is so important. There are so many people that they hire a developer, they build custom, they went through a round of venture capital, and in their minds they're set, they're ready. Okay, the software is ready. It costs more than I wanted, but it's done, it's out there. And then you learn the expensive lesson that you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know that your customers don't behave the way you thought they would.
Right.
You don't know that your customers are different people than you thought they were.
Exactly. And your features aren't well developed, or you pick the wrong thing to focus on. I mean, there's hundreds of potential issues there.
Sure.
You need to learn those lessons in your growth stage at the very beginning with as little money out of pocket as possible.
Sure.
That's why we're saying just get started, just get it out there.
Okay.
And so high upfront cost, that's the bottom line.
Okay.
Is with custom and with a WordPress site, the upfront cost can be thousands, tens, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. You just need to be very intentional about how you're building this.
Okay.
Build it simple if you can. High long-term cost. Most people do not consider this. They don't bake it into their plan. What does it mean, long-term cost of ownership? What does it mean? Well, at some point, you're going to want to change something. Okay? So if you've hired a developer and he's sitting there in your office, he or she, maybe you're already paying their salary. Maybe that's a little different issue. But if chances are you just paid maybe $5,000 for your store, and then you learn you need to make some adjustment. Well, if you haven't accounted for that $500 change, all of a sudden your site can double and triple in cost.
Right.
So long-term cost of ownership, you're going to have to change things.
Okay.
So that's something to consider. Every change requires some kind of a developer when you get into the custom kind of world. There's some security risks that you take on by building your own store with credit cards and hackers. We've all heard about that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Data breaches and all that. You just need to know that you're taking that risk on yourself.
Okay.
When you build your own thing.
Okay. So costs a whole lot of money.
Yep. Up front. Yep.
The risk is high.
Yep.
People can steal your stuff unless you are, you're good at the whole security thing.
Sounds great, doesn't it?
So far, it sounds like roses.
Yeah.
So high reward, high risk.
Yes, exactly.
Potentially.
Very much so.
Okay. All right. So that's what we had there for the custom software piece. Up next, we have for the hosted e-commerce platforms, which is Jason's favorite.
Yes.
We're going to jump into Jason's favorite here in a second. So don't go anywhere.